And now to a pre-election struggle over national security, and it's pitting Republican against Republican. The divisive issue here is the president's plan for interrogating and prosecuting detainees in the war on terror. And a real tug of war has developed between the White House and prominent Republicans such as John McCain and Colin Powell. I'm joined now by Republican pollster John McLaughlin and Democratic strategist Cliff Schecter. Gentlemen, great to see you both today.
Good to see you, Contessa.
Good day.
Cliff, you know, all the Republican infighting, is it good for Democrats?
Well, of course it is. I mean, look, right now, what you can see among Republicans is you can see there's a fight between those who actually have served in war and those who haven't. A perfect example that for people need to see right now, you know, there's a great new film out by Robert Greenwald called Iraq for Sale, and it shows the war profiteering that's been going on in Iraq. They show this one terrific scene where Halliburton actually gives our troops tainted water and makes them sick, and of course makes millions of dollars off of it. Now, that kind of thing does not sit well with people who've been in the military. So now you fast forward to what's going on right now. Who's in this fight right now over whether we're going to continue with the Geneva conferences? You've got Colin Powell, you've got John McCain, you've got Lindsey, you've got John Warner, all veterans, all distinguished, who are all saying that that this is going to weaken us if we don't follow the Geneva Conventions.
All right, let me bring John in here because
sure.
At this point you raise a good point, Cliff. Here are some really well-known Republican leaders, and as Cliff points out, John, these are guys with military backgrounds. They've been on war fronts. I mean, John McCain was a prisoner of war himself. Do they have a point?
They have a. What's interesting to me about this is it's a debate among Republicans because actually the Democrats are pretty weak when it comes to terror. They can't carry this issue at all. I mean, let's face it. The Republicans, since the terror bombings that were allegedly broken up when they were going to blow up those airliners coming over the Atlantic to celebrate the 5-year anniversary of 9/11, the Republicans have been ticking up in the polls. Today, George Allen debated Jim Webb. Jim Webb was evasive. George Allen was direct. He was strong on terror. What you've got is people like, even in New York.
And that's why the Democrats really at this point are staying silent on the issue because they think, well, if John McCain and Colin Powell are going to take on the administration, then why do we need to get our hands dirty?
But we're not silent on the whole issue of terrorism. If I can answer John, I mean, he throws out, of course, the ridiculous talking points that I'm sure Bush faxed him today, saying that Democrats are weak on terror. Let's talk for a second, John. Is somebody who ignores Katrina and can't protect us from rain and storms?
Come on. We're talking about fighting terror.
Okay, fine. Let's move on to that. You can't protect us from rain, John. John, you want to try and protect us from rain? Good. Okay, you know what else, John? I'm going to finish whether you let me or not.
You can finish.
If you can't protect us in Iraq because you can't protect our troops because you send them there with body armor that doesn't work, so you can give tax cuts to Paris Hilton. You see, that doesn't protect us either, John.
Well done. You're not even on.
Hey. Cliff raises 19 points for John to respond to.
And you'll respond to none of them knowing John.
Wait. Well, you keep interrupting. Hold on one second. Go ahead, John.
Let me go one better. For 5 years, the president has kept us safe from terrorist attacks. We've got the terrorists on the run in Iraq. And my point was, even in New York,
sure.
Look, I live in New York, and I know what it's like where you live, where you're a terror target. But you know what?
I'm from New York too, John.
Good. Well, you know what? Even in New York, your senator, Hillary Clinton, won't even acknowledge she voted against the Patriot Act December 16th. So even against when she's in a challenge from John Spencer, she has to divert from the issue.
Well, you guys wouldn't acknowledge that you lost Anbar province in Iraq and that the Taliban is starting to take over in Afghanistan again. Acknowledge that.
Hold on a second. In the most recent NBC News Wall Street Journal poll, hold on a second, please. 54% of the people responded they believe the president has taken the right course of action in its imprisonment and treatment of suspected terrorists and foreign fighters. Only 34% of those responded say the president has gone too far. In this case, it does seem like the majority of Americans, even if it's a slight majority, agrees with the president's stance on this, Cliff.
Right. Well, I have to see the wording on this poll, but a slight majority may agree with him on this. But let's see, 65% disagree with his Iraq policy, think it's weakened us, and think it's made us take our eye off the ball. Everybody's asking where Osama bin Laden is, and apparently President Bush closed down the unit to find him because John says he's protecting us so well. Well, that's a smart way to protect us. Close down the unit that's supposed to hunt him down.
Let me give John the last word here.
Let me say the last thing to John. I'll let John have the last word. Terrorist incidents in the last 5 years have gone up from 20,000 to 50,000. So you've done real well,
You know
John.
what? weren't in Iraq when they went after the World Trade Center the first time. We weren't in Iraq when they blew up the Khobar Towers. We weren't in Iraq when they blew up the coal. You know, Clinton was the president. He didn't get him then. At least we have a president who's trying now and doing his job.
You guys did
and
well
he
in
is
Beirut.
trying to keep us safe.
Go shake Saddam Hussein's hand.
It's been 5 years
like
since 9/11, and this president's done a great job on that.
Go shake Saddam Hussein's hand again with Don
I thought
Rumsfeld.
I was going to have a list.
Well
you know what? I thought that I said I was going to give John the last word, and Cliff is just, I mean, he's a bulldog, isn't he? John McLaughlin and Cliff Schecter.
I'm sorry, Contessa. I try my best to have a good time with John.
You know what? It was a good time, and you know what? It was such a good time. Why don't we talk to you again later this hour? Thank you, guys.
I enjoyed your show.